So one of the questions people most often ask me is, how did I end up living in Poland? What is an American doing in this part of Europe? And it's actually a pretty good question. So on today's episode of Kult America, I'm going to take a little time to try and answer. For starters, Americans don't really have a true sense of national identity. Sure, we wave our flag, we have our country, but the history is not there. So I was curious about my personal genealogy. And for that reason, when I was 18, I visited the Polish village of Soromoce Niżna, where I met some people who invited me to their home, fed me, and really took care of me. The reason this was so strange is because in America, we're afraid of strangers. We would probably never do that. But here, I soon learned the expression that when the guest is in the house, God is in the house. Now, by 2001, I had developed a total obsession about Poland. When I finally got back here, I noticed another thing that was peculiar. And it might sound pretty funny to you, but Poland was made up of Polish people. When I was in the Warsaw Central Station, all I saw were Polish people. I'd never been to a homogeneous country before, but I knew that somehow I needed to be a part of this exclusive club. So just try to imagine, I came from a country where about 7% of the people are not even citizens. Here in Poland, only about 1% of the people are not citizens. This is completely insignificant. It's not a typical place to immigrate to, but it's part of the reason I wanted to immigrate here, making Poland, ironically, a little bit less homogeneous. Now, the first identity document that I received from the Polish government was called Karty Pobytu. It's like a residence card. And I could not stop looking at this. I literally spent hours looking at that in disbelief that somehow I had the right to finally live here, and I had this verification by the Republic of Poland directly. That was one of my life's proudest moments. To my amazement, I later learned that Poland at some points in history was one of Europe's largest melting pots. And I suspect that maybe that's the reason, at the end of the day, Poles have been so accommodating to me as a foreigner in their country. So what are some of the things that I left behind when I exited America? School shootings, drive-by shootings, terrorism, drug addiction, police brutality, humiliating politicians, and blind patriotism. That was not for me. Now, of course, you can make the case that many of these issues are prevalent here as well, and that's true, but it's to a lesser degree. I printed up some stats, a direct comparison per capita. For example, Poland has 5 times less drug addiction than the United States, 7 times less rape than the United States, and 26 times less car theft than the United States. The only stat that I really wanted and didn't find a good comparison for was murder. However, I suppose that in that case, Poland would win as well. Now you tell me honestly, which country would you prefer living in? So Poles are pretty much notorious complainers, and they often complain about their public transport system, but I love it. I love the fact that I'm not dependent on a car here. That's a concept that in the United States, at the age of 16, I would have totally not understood. One of the things that I value the most about Polish society is my access to healthcare. Actually, not only for my own sake, but for the sake of my children, having the psychological comfort of knowing that if anything goes wrong at any moment, I can take them to a doctor is priceless. Of course, it's true that in the United States, medicine is really innovative. However, you need to have great and expensive health insurance to get access to that Medicare. Let's imagine that right now I fall down and bust my head on the rock. I could visit the ER in Poland. It's not going to make a big setback in my life. In the United States, without insurance, such a visit could cost me around $1,200. A broken arm cost around $16,000. Chemotherapy cost about $200,000. Remember, these are prices imposed on people who didn't have enough money to afford insurance in the first place. The final reason I moved to Poland actually reduces me to a cliche. It's the reason that I suppose most foreign guys give for moving here. And that is, I found love. When I met my wife, it completely changed my life. And from a young age, I noticed that Polish women had many nurturing qualities that I did not see in America. So without all the reasons I gave earlier, love is the reason that perhaps someday, not only will I live in Poland, but I might die here. So obviously many people move from Europe to the United States, and my friend Max was one of them. If you click the card of this video, you can see the reasons why he left Russia for America. Make sure you subscribe to his channel and stay tuned to Kult America.